Oh, where is my cereal? I don't have any, so... Well, you betrayed me once again, Milk. Ooh, where's Nomi? Let's go get Nomi. Hey there my dudes, I am Laddie and welcome to another video. And this video I am joined by...
I'm the flippin' tooth fairy. Who the hell do you think I am?
My best
Idiots.
bud, Nomi. Or Noma Simpson, or my gnome boy. Oh shit. When you're speaking to your dad and he tells you that he watches your videos and then you think back to all of the weird shit you've done on your channel.
My anus is bleeding.
Thomas the Wank Engine.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
Well, if he wasn't disappointed in me before, he's definitely disappointed in me now. Anyway, let's get into this video. You guys have seen the title. I should probably take my glasses off so you guys don't freak out and get mad that there's a reflection in my glasses. So you guys have seen the title, and I know what the title is, but this video is... It is the gender neutral bathroom dilemma. I'm 18 now, right? I started this channel when I was 16 going on 17, when I had just come out as trans, and that whole year that I've been out of trans there is a lot of things that I have done. So pretty much in the second and last year of my college down in back down in Devon, before I moved here, I didn't begin out the year, but a few months into the year I decided to be, and I was sort of voted and elected to be, and I ran to be the Equality and Diversity Officer at my college. Obviously, it seems that the Equality and Diversity Officer, there was stuff for me to do, like there were certain events and certain things that they needed to run by me, and there was certain events that I needed to run, but other than that there wasn't really much stuff they gave me to do, and I was like, what is the point of being an Equality and Diversity Officer if I'm not actually doing anything much to do with equality and diversity? In the year I decided to make life a bit harder for myself, and I decided to fight some of the biggest battles that I didn't realise how hard they were actually to fight. So the first thing I decided, well, I also was fighting, wasn't really fighting, it was just a struggle to do to get there wasn't an LGBT group in the college, and I thought, well, why isn't there a little group in the college? And I know why, because it's hard to start one and actually get people to go. But one of the other big things that I tried and kind of failed at was, well, I'll let you guys know about that kind of during the story, but was to get a gender neutral bathroom, or toilet for that matter. A gender neutral toilet or restroom. I wanted there to be one in the college because as a trans person and as an Equality and Diversity Officer, I had actually quite a few people come up to me and I asked them, is there anything you want to change about this college? Is there anything that you thought was different? And a few trans, non-binary and trans-binary people, and also just some other people in the LGBT community, and also some people who were allies, they actually said, you know what would be a cool thing to have is gender neutral toilets, so that, I don't know, they just didn't see the need, or they didn't see the need for toilets that were gender binary and you had to go one or the other, because nowadays gender just isn't binary. I mean, whatever you believe, but in the world there isn't binary gender because people identify themselves as non-binary gender, and no matter what your beliefs are, that's just how the world is at the moment. The one thing that I was like, of course I'd love this. I'd love to not have to worry about which toilet I'm going into, or whether they're going to judge me in either toilet, because that happens sometimes. When I go into a female's toilet, sometimes because of the way I dress, if they don't see my face or hear me speak or see that I'm feminine, they'll usually judge me or be like, "What? Why the hell are you in the toilet?" And then I'll speak and they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realise you were actually a woman." Or I'll go into the men's and they'll obviously know that I'm not a dude, and if they look at my face or they hear my voice or anything, and they'll chuck me out. Like, I've been to whenever I go to nightclubs, I remember I was chucked out of one of the male toilets because they were like, "Oh, you're not a dude, you can't be in here." So I thought, if there were gender neutral toilets, this problem would be, you know, because the first question that people ask me when it came to this subject is, what toilet do you actually use? So I originally, when I first came out as trans, I just used the female toilets, and as I got more and more sort of steady with my maleness and with my gender, and I knew that was me, I started feeling like I just don't belong in the female toilets. And then I tried to go into the male toilets, but I also didn't belong in there. It's awkward to go in there and people look at you and be like, "Why are you in here?" And also, one of the other things is that I needed the female sanitary things, not to get all like, ooh, but I did. I needed some of the things that are in the female toilets that weren't in the male toilets. So the toilet that I actually use is the disabled toilets, or the toilets that, you know, they have the sanitary options, but they're also not really gendered. So those are the ones I use. Or if there's a place that has toilets that are just separated toilets and you go into them, those are also the toilets that I use, because they're not gendered, but they're also not called gender neutral toilets. So what I thought, I was just like, well, this is ridiculous. Why don't we just have, in my college there were 3 floors. On the first floor there was a male and female toilets, right? Second floor there was male and female toilets, 1 each, and third floor there were male and female toilets. So overall, over 3 floors, there were 6 male and female, there were 3 toilets for each gender on each floor. And I thought, first I was just like, why can't we just get one of those 6 toilets turned into a gender neutral toilet? And I spoke to the board about that, and they said you have to have an even number of male and female toilets because of, you know, prejudice and stuff. You have to have equality and all that kind of stuff. And so I thought, why don't you take the ones on level 2 and change them into gender neutral toilets? And those 2 means that they'll be gender neutral, so it will make it balance out. There'll be 1 male, 1 female on the top floor, and 1 male, 1 female on the bottom floor, and on the middle floor there will be just 2 gender neutral toilets for people who don't care about gender. And what they said back to me is, when I proposed this, they practically laughed in my face. I spoke to them and they were like, of course that's never going to happen. Imagine the stuff that could go on, the high school boys pranking high school girls, and what about sexual harassment in the toilets? What about if one of the high school boys does something to one of the girls in the toilets, or they just have sex in the toilets in general? And I was just like, so that couldn't happen between a male and a male and a female and a female? That's never happened, of course. Of course there's never been people doing that in the male toilets with the men and the women toilets with the women. I understand that some people won't want to go into gender neutral toilets with the boys, but there are options for other toilets. There were like 4 other options for toilets, and it was just these 2 toilets that would be changed gender neutral. And that's what my thing was. I was saying, they've got their other toilets, all they have to do is walk up the stairs or walk down the stairs. That's all they have to do, because every time me or any of my transgender friends in the college went to the toilet, they'd have to walk like away from all the group of friends to go to a different toilet. And whenever I had to do it, I felt separated from the rest. I had to walk, whenever people are, oh, we're all just going to the toilet, I had to walk the opposite direction and go to a different toilet in the area, and I just felt, it made me feel even more different than the rest, because they'd be like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to the toilet. And they're like, yeah, but the toilets are here. And I'd be like, well, going to the disabled toilets. So that's what they told me to do originally. They said, just go to the disabled toilets. And I still pushed for it. So what I did is I said, I was speaking to people, and everyone I was speaking to was saying, this sounds like a great idea, just have gender neutral toilets, and if people don't want to go into those toilets, they don't have to go into those toilets. If people who are okay with the whole gender neutral thing go into those toilets, then they can go into the toilets, be civil. There can be cubicles sections for the women, and there can be cubicle sections for the non-binary people as well, and there can also be urinals for the men and non-binary people and whatever you identify as. And because on the door it's not labelled, you don't feel like you're betraying your gender if you go in there, then it would make it much easier for people. And I don't know who set up the goddamn laws that men had to be separated from women when having a piss or whatever, like, but it was a ridiculous separation thing back then. Like, who, just think about it, you're just going for a piss, just going to the toilet. Yes, people have to have different facilities, but you can just add all those facilities into one toilet. Have the urinals for the men, and oh no, God forbid you see a penis if someone's at a urinal. People are so stuck in their ways with this kind of stuff, and I know it's, people said to me, oh, it's just going to the toilet, it's a bit ridiculous, don't you think? And that's exactly what they said to me. They sent someone who I knew, someone who was in the same student union, to come speak to me about it, saying, you know what, you can just stop this because it's a bit ridiculous, isn't it though? That's what they said, it's a bit ridiculous, isn't it though? And I just wanted the right to feel comfortable going to the toilet every day, because I didn't. I either went into the male or female toilets and didn't feel comfortable, or I went into the disabled toilets and I felt separated from the rest. All I wanted was just the same thing that everyone else gets, but because I'm trans and I'm a minority, they actually said this, they said, and I know it makes sense actually, which you know, it makes sense I guess, but they were saying there's not enough trans people in the college right now for us to even think about this. And I knew plenty of trans people that were struggling, and I was thinking one is enough. One person who's struggling because of this is enough, but I knew like 20 people in the college who were struggling because of this, who thought this was alright. So I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to start a petition. I started a petition, I riled a few people up. I was saying, why don't we get gender neutral toilets? I was speaking to everyone, and people were kind of, I was getting quite a few people riled up and angry about it, and I was going up to random people in the college saying, what do you think about this? And they were saying, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And of course I got another side of things, but mainly it was people saying, yeah, gender neutral toilets, if you don't want to use them you don't have to, but if you do want to use them it could be very beneficial, and it could change a lot of people's everyday lives and make them much happier. And then I took this, well, what I did is I got a message off of someone, a quite angry message or a quite stern message saying, can you stop speaking to people about the petition? Can you stop speaking to people about the idea of gender neutral, because it's gender neutral bathrooms, because it's got back to the board. So there's the student union, there's the board of our college, and there's the board of like the boss pretty much of the student union. And apparently my petition and me making a fuss had gotten to that board, and they were kind of angry because it got them in trouble. Because if a student's going to make a petition, there's a lot of legalities behind it, and there's a lot of things behind it. So they pretty much told me to stop speaking about it, to stop making the petition. And I tried again, I kept trying, but they continued to tell me, they were just like, could you please like stop making the petition, because, you know, if they pretty much wanted me to stop because it was making a fuss and it was making their lives slightly harder, like the lives of trans people most days, with these little inconveniences we have and how they build up every single day. And because it was making their lives slightly harder, they kept bugging me about it, but I kept trying to speak to people and trying to get this petition done, and in the end I said, why can't we get a survey? And that never ended up happening. I think they just didn't want to bother with it, and I asked them why, what sort of things do you have against this? And the board told me that they thought that there was a possibility that, as I think I mentioned before, there was a possibility that the high school boys could prank the girls, or there could be sexual harassment in the bathrooms. That a few people made complaints saying that they didn't want the gender-neutral bathrooms because if some of the boys took photos under the stools and stuff, took photos of the women under the stools, or if they were having sex in the toilets, or if you added a sanitary bin in a toilet that had men in it, they'd put feces and weird shit in the sanitary bins that weren't meant to be in there. And I was just like, wow, has humanity really got to this point when women can't be around men, otherwise they'll do mischief? And I don't know, I haven't taken a thing, of if that would actually happen, but they were pretty much just saying things like men and women can't be together because they'll make a fuss. The boys who are in the college will try to do stuff to the girls, or the girls won't like the boys, or they just won't. And I'm like, at what point has society been so divided between one to the other, between men and women, between the two sexes, or well, I guess there's three because there's intersex, but between man and woman, when society has been so divided that those are the two binary forms of life that are so different that they can't even go to the toilet together civilly. And I don't know if that's true, if men would do that kind of stuff to women in the toilets, but one of the things that was riling up me and all of the people who were supporting me with this gender neutral toilet thing is that, since who said that it was that sexual harassment, or not just sexual harassment but just having sex in general in the toilets, could be just between man and woman? And I remember this got me so angry at the time, because they were saying, well, it's if you put men and women in the same bathroom together, they're going to have sex, or they're going to do stuff, or they're going to, not get along. And I was like, what about men and men? Have you ever heard of gay people? What about women and women? Have you ever heard of lesbians getting it on in the toilets? Just because, and I'm sure that if someone really wanted to go out of their way to prank someone in the toilets, the man would just go into the women's toilets and just do it. They would just prank them or do whatever they were complaining about would happen in the gender neutral toilets. And they were so adamant about this, and I was so adamant about my side. I thought that the pros of having gender neutral toilets outweighed any of the cons that could possibly happen, but they said there's only about a handful of trans people in this college. I said that wasn't true, and I was like, how did you get to this point? They never gave me a complete way that they said how they got to that number. They never gave me a method that they did. They just simply said, we have only a handful in this college, and I was like, I know more than that. I am the Equality and Diversity Officer. I know that there are more trans people in this college, and I know not just trans people, just allies that would like the idea of a gender neutral bathroom, because it stops the separation between people. It brings about equality because it brings us in the same thing. And I kind of want to look that up now. Who the hell said that men and women should be in separate bathrooms? Oh, I matched with someone on Tinder. What do you think? You can speak while I'm searching.
Even though I don't identify myself as a pussy, ass, snowflake, like you do laddie, I do agree that there should be the option of gender-inclusive bathrooms. Damn, society has gone up the shitter. Come on people, it's just pissing. Am I right?
Sex segregation in public restrooms. Separation of public toilets into sex categories. So, the history behind it dates back to the 18th century in Paris. Okay, so it's only the bloody... In the 1887 in US, the Massachusetts legislature, can't even say that word, introduced an enacted law that mandated the separation of bathrooms by sex. Well, there existed separate restrooms for males and females prior to 1887. This was the first law of its kind, and acts secured proper sanitary provisions in factories and workshops. Okay, so I kind of understand what they're on about. Okay. So it's about the 18th century, 18th, 19th century, where it all went on, and I don't even know. I've ranted so many times about this just to think that, okay, I understand the part where there is, because sexism and any sort of prejudice where you stereotype one from the other, there's always, not always, but sometimes there are slight truths. So for example, the truth that back then it was probably best that females had separate bathrooms because the rates of sexual harassment were, you know, I mean, in factories when there are men and women working together, it was an issue back then. And I'm sure there's still issues now, but just the fact that people, at least the gender neutral bathrooms could be for people who were okay with these things, with gender neutral and all this kind of stuff. I've tried to say it in so many million ways and no one ever really listens to me. And there was someone, I was just watching a video and they were saying in Westminster, in the train station or something like that, they managed to get, or somewhere else, they managed to get gender neutral bathrooms. And I saw the whole kerfuffle with that, and God knows how hard it must have been for them to get gender neutral bathrooms, because it was hard for me to even get the slightest thing done in the college. So if we come to the end of the story, because I've told you and ranted on about you enough, pretty much conclusion is that I tried my hardest, I riled up everyone, but in the end they wouldn't give up. They said it was just not good enough, it was just not enough to outweigh the cons, which were, you know, as the complaints people were getting about mixing men and women and what could happen. And they just said, in the end, we came to a conclusion that we would have to just put a plaque saying gender inclusive bathroom on the disabled toilets. And they said, don't call it the disabled toilets, call it gender neutral toilets or all inclusive toilets. But it was, I mean, they were the disabled toilets, and so they just put a plaque on there saying that people, it's gender neutral, so it doesn't matter who goes into this toilet. And I was just like, in the end, I had A-levels to do, I had exams to do, I had work to do, I was exhausted with fighting just to get damn gender neutral toilets, and in the end I gave up. And I kind of wish I didn't, but at the same time, like, I had exams. Not that I did well on them, but I had exams. And in the end, I kind of wish I did try a little bit harder, but in the end, they got a design done that said all-inclusive toilets. I don't even know if they put the plaques up yet because someone was too lazy to get it done. But I tried to get the plaques put up before I left, but it never happened. Hopefully the plaques are up there now, if they finally got that done. And I'm not going to mention the college, but if anyone's watching and they would know they went there, you know who you are. And in the end, one of the things that extra pissed me off, that you could say I was triggered, quote unquote, triggered, by, was there was one part where we had a sign, one of the, I think it was a fake plaque or something on the door, and they were saying, oh, we could have the plaque in this colour and this, and oh, look how amazing that's going to look for the college, oh, look how inclusive we're going to look. Oh my god, make sure we put this up on the website and everything because we're going to look so nice to the public. And it was a bunch of, not to use this word, but cis white people, just cis people in general, they were, but you know, they were the kind of people who, you know, like cisgendered, a lot of cisgendered people standing around a toilet door, being like, oh yeah, look how inclusive we are, putting a plaque up on this toilet door saying we're gender inclusive. Look how cool we are, look how nice we are to the LGBT community. And I was just like, I was just looking at all of them standing around circle jerking this bloody, like, around this toilet door, being like, look how inclusive we are, like, look how nice we are to trans people, look how cool we are to the trans. Sorry, got a bit triggered there. And in the end I was just like, well, fuck it, I give up. But one thing I want to say, which I know this isn't a very motivational video, but I'm trying to make it motivational now, this is the moral of the story, where we were getting to right now, is just don't give up. I hope that someone in the future, I hope it gets better, and I think it will get better. I think one day there will be a lot of gender neutral toilets around, but at the moment it's not such a necessity that people are going to change. But I hope in other places, like the person, I don't know their name, a trans man, did the Westminster gender neutral toilets thing, and I just hope people like them in little situations like mine will keep going and will have the time to keep fighting for those gender neutral toilets, and just to get them there and have people like multi-stool gender neutral toilets that people won't worry about, and that they can actually get it in many places, not just one place or two places all around the world. And hopefully it'll be more inclusive in the future, and there'll be full gender inclusive bathrooms everywhere. But you know, you never know how long that's going to take. I just hope it does happen at some point. And yeah, that was this video. I want you guys to tell me in the comments below. I don't know if I've missed anything, but it's been a long video. I want you guys to tell me in the comments down below what you think. I did a bit of a rant in this video, but it's something I feel a bit important about, because I guess it's something that happens in my everyday life and in a lot of my friends' everyday lives. People who are questioning, people whatever, who are trans, who are questioning, who don't know what they are. Them using the bathroom is like they, as I was saying before, betraying their gender, and I just hope one day it's more inclusive. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, tell him Nomi.
Don't do it. He hurts me when he turns off the camera.
Anyways, like, comment and subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. My name is Cleveland Brown, and I am proud to be right back in my hometown. This is the Cliff family. My new friends and old friends, and even a bear. A bad time we share.